Okay, good evening and welcome to the free Zoom meeting here. My name is Christine Whitlock. I'm here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Just to remind you that this Zoom meeting is being recorded and it'll be put on my YouTube channel tomorrow unedited. So please watch what you say if you don't want it to be recorded. And so what we're going to do is go around the screen with first come, first serve, telling us what you've been doing writing-wise or film-wise the last 3 weeks since we met you. Okay, Lori, you came in first.
Okay. So it's been a couple busy weeks for me. I've been co-writing a TV pilot, and we are focusing on the comedic dialogue, and we've got halfway through. Hey, so that's coming along really well. And then my screenplay, I've revised the entire third act, and I'm just spending time going through each one to make sure that everything flows well. And then on top of that, just continuing to reach out and meet new filmmakers. I'm in a new writers group. I joined it, and I have been trying to get a group for out of the people that are in this one, but only a few people have responded to which Saturday they can do it at. So I'm not sure if anyone still wants to do it or not. So I'm just putting that out there.
And what genre is the screenplay you're working on?
That is a drama plus supernatural feature. And then the comedy one is drama plus comedy.
Great. Pat, you're next.
Oh, hi. Pat, I'm in Kissimmee, Florida, and it's beautiful up here too. I'm still working on my contained thriller, getting closer. I'm having a little trouble deciding who might die, but that'll work itself out. I submitted a script to Nichols just for giggles, and hopefully get some notes back. They offered that this year. And I got distracted reading The Kane Mutiny, which is finished now, but so I can get back to work.
Great. Julian.
Hey everybody, kind of in between works right now. I did finish writing that short I talked about last time. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm having it reviewed over at Coverfly, so awaiting a review on that. Gearing up, kind of like mentally getting prepared to tackle that second novel. So really want to do that, want to do the thing. So it just kind of requires me getting my gumption up, I guess, to really begin it. And once I begin it, it'll be good. Kind of started as a short story a while ago, but I think I want to kind of start over with that and start it from scratch. Some cool things have been going on with Alex's group. We had a cool meeting recently with a name Hollywood director there, and this Saturday we'll be doing some table readings on Zoom as well. So looking forward to that. One thing I learned, if any of you are on Script Revolution, run by CJ Wally, they now allow you to list any awards you've gotten, but they're very selective about what awards they will accept. Kind of biased towards Stage 32 and apparently biased against Screencraft, which is where I've gotten 2 of my awards from, or 2 of my finalist placements anyway. But my top 20% in the nickel contest was good enough. So now my script, Death's Brother, has that award listed below it as getting into the top 20% of the Academy Nickel Fellowship. So that one seems to carry some weight with them. So if you've gotten any script placements, like, check out, they have a list of what they'll accept. And I believe it's on the information page if you go to edit your script. So if you use Script Revolution, that might be useful for you if you've got something to brag about. So that's what's new with me.
Great. Doug.
I'm the same old guy, just retired old producer and filmmaker out here in Oregon. what I'm spending my time on right now is I'm trying to put together a steering committee to format and build a new film festival for this community. The city is in favor of it. And I am looking for, 10-minute short films for that, 10 to 15-minute short films. I'm going to start small this year, just make it one day or so, one day, not much more than that. So I won't be doing the screenwriters retreat at this one. And we may or may not bring up some acting instructors and other stuff. And the other thing that I'm working on now is just getting my little cable network show back up and running. I finally got the cameras and the equipment set up and the backstop set up in the studio, so I can start working on that. And then I have decided, I guess it's about time I go back and write something else. So I'm going to pick up one of my old thriller, paranormal thriller, family thrillers scripts and start working on that.
Great. Barbara.
Hi everyone, my name is Barbara. I am in Toronto. I took a long break from writing and reviewing and everything. Last time I was involved was probably around Christmas time, but now I'm back in action. I'm looking to probably start something new, review my old stuff, looking for inspiration, all these sorts of things. So I'm excited to be back here with you all.
So anything in particular genre that you're planning to write?
Not really. I'm pretty open. The last script that I wrote was in drama / a little bit comedy in there as well. So I'm pretty open. Yeah, nothing in particular.
Good. Okay, welcome, Tio. Tell us about yourself and where you're from.
Hi, it's Teo. Actually,
Teo.
it's okay. So hi, I'm Teo Talarico. I have many names, but that is the name I go by professionally in film stuff. I have been studying film independently, mostly theory and like criticism and cinematography for the last year-ish, I think. And film is my wife. I love it with my entire being. I am currently heading 3 separate projects all at once. I'm directing, writing, will be editing, probably cinematographer, co-producing at the very least as well. One of them is a music video, which hopefully is going to shoot like next week. I don't know. We have to find gear. That I don't know. But and then another is it's a short, which is mostly conceptual, and it's about how innocence and children and like having childlike ideas or mannerisms is like demonized, and people are hurt basically when they're seen as children or childlike, and how literal children are told like you can't play, but then go away and play. And then the other one is not quite a short, not quite a feature, basically revolving around an album written by someone I know through like shared music punk kind of community, which is going to be super cool and super intense. I also live in Hamilton. And I found this group on like Facebook, and I was like, well, it might be cool to hear perspective on like script writing, as I am like also a writer director and everything, and other filmmakers, and learn from other people in the business. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Great. And another newbie, Christine Scruggs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christine. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm actor because I was invited by Alex, who I met on a Facebook group. So I haven't been screenwriting for too long, a couple of years, and I have a TV hour-long pilot, a female-driven thriller, and a psychological thriller. What I'm doing right now is I just polished up the female-driven thriller, and it's in some hands being read. And I am about to, I've taken a step away from the most recent psychological thriller, and I'm about to take a deep dive back in and do some major rewrites, and then hopefully I'll be done with that one. So yeah, I was thinking about next maybe tackling an IP kind of project, because I have a few friends with interesting life stories, but that's kind of going to be new territory for me. So if anybody has any IP experience, I'd love to hear about that.
Great. And you can also write anything in the chat, and then everybody will be sent a copy tomorrow of the chat. So if you want to put that you're looking for IP experience in your email, so that people can get a hold of you. Next is Nick.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. You know, I finally got my second vaccine, which is nice, COVID vaccine. So yeah, I'm out in the Bay Area, SF Bay Area. So that's kind of a relief. I started going to cafes and Starbucks to, you know, work, which is always helpful, you know, when I'm outside of my house. Yeah, so the last 3 weeks I was working on my 3 existing scripts that I started end of last year, and just focus on developing those, which is the rom-com, Luna Weds Muna, cross-cultural romantic comedy, action comedy called Kashmir Confidential, and the mini-series of the family COVID drama that I'm, you know, continue working on. I'm doing rewrites. I kind of, my romantic comedy, I'm actually just rewriting it. You know, I was reading up some more scripts and getting more familiarized myself with scripts that are similar genres, and you know, I needed to fix a lot. And yeah, that's, I think what's helping me is while I'm writing and just reading up on scripts and doing that simultaneously, that's definitely helping me. You know, I've also, yeah, I mean, I get updated on any webinars that will help me, you know, and yeah, I just got in touch with one of my high school friends who's happened to be also in screenwriting and in film. So she might be helping me out with the action comedy, like maybe reviewing it and maybe co-writing it. So yeah. Thank you.
Great. Anisha.
Hi. So, yeah, my name is Anisha. I was introduced to this group by Alex, and I've been working with him on a few other projects that we've been doing. And yeah, so I'm just working on those projects as well as a few writing. I'm just writing some scripts, and I finished a mockumentary a few weeks ago about a private jet like flight crew. So I did that, and yeah, now I'm working on a feature. I'm actually rewriting a feature that I wrote back in 2018. So this is my 3rd rewrite. So I'm doing that right now. It's about a group of college kids who go on a trip based on a personal experience, and the trip pretty much goes wrong. But I'm making it more dramatic than it was, just for the sake of film.
Alex.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm sorry, good evening, everybody. There's some stuff in the chat, so Houdini, please reply to me, okay? You hurt my pride.
Yeah, sorry, I was actually working on the rewrites and stuff. I didn't feel comfortable giving it because I know it's going to be changing a lot of my content.
When I tell you my news, Nick, you'll be like, why didn't I reach out to Alex?
Okay.
Many of you know I've got a few different projects going on, as been mentioned. I have always tried to pay it forward because I've had 4 ultra big, awesome professional people help me out. So when I can help anybody out for half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever. Dr. K and I met via a Facebook group. I was working for a producer in Canada, but she works in LA with her team, but she's up in Canada right now. And she was looking for a very specific script. So we wilted down to 14 of them. And of the top 4, Dr. Christine's script was chosen. Again, we were strangers a few months ago. So this is a reminder to everybody to attempt these type of things because, right, you network and you never know who wants something, and you could be the conduit, you could be the middle person. So just always remember that when we're here, just, you know, what's the word? Put yourself out there, put yourself forward, because you just never know that, for instance, you're talking to Julian today, in 6 months time, Julian's the head of development at TriStar. I mean, you just don't know. Things happen, right? Julian's on the way to that. So I just want to always put that out there. So Anisha mentioned that we're working on a couple of projects. One is the Carmine Theater Audio Group. We are putting forward, I think, for May 9th as our premiere. I'll let you know more information about that. I believe the first script we've chosen is someone in this room right now. So that's kind of cool. Again, networking, right? So that's that. Julian had mentioned that we had an incredible reading from people from around the world involved in my educational program called Future Leaders of the World. Julian was stumbled by, you never know who's going to show up. So he's texting me later, I can't believe you didn't tell me this guy was coming. I'm like, hey, you know, people, that's who we're involved with. So that's been really, really cool. We have table reads coming up. So if you want to know more about that, put that, I'll put that, my email again in the chat so you know. Many of you know I've been doing this writing internship that Anisha is now involved with Giovanni Lampassi, Matt Boda of Absurd Film Productions. So again, here's another story. And this is not to toot my horn. This is to show you what can happen by putting yourself forward. I responded to an ad. I got brought on like as a writing intern December 1st. March 1st, they moved me up to be an ambassador. An ambassador means I now help out all the new people. Nick, okay? I help them out, all the new people involved in this writing internship. 6 days later,
Thank you.
I got a chance to do script development on a production that's going to be filmed in May. They liked it so much, they've offered me a job, a paid gig. This time in 13 days, I will be in Atlanta on a shoot for the Sci-Fi movie channel. I'm going to be the first assistant director on a film. People are like, wow, I can't believe you got that. But those who know me, yeah, of course you got it. You're always putting yourself out there. You're always being nice to everybody. You're always networking. So remind it to you all. Stop living in your writer's closets and writing. That's only a third of the battle. The other 2/3 is what you all have to concentrate on. My writing wife, Nikki, okay, that's my writing wife who I met through Giovanni. She and I were working on a small project and she just got optioned today on that project. It's incredible news. It's a really new way of doing something. I'd love to maybe sometimes explain it, but right now I can't. It's showing content in a different way, like a social media way. So again, if I knew how to explain it, I definitely would. She and I have written a script, which I may have mentioned. It's a very racially charged script. It's getting headway. We're now at the point we can't talk about it. We've got someone big involved, so can't talk about that anymore. About my work, I have a pilot script that's going to be table read May the 12th. If you're interested, I'll let you know. From a group in Canada, Christine. One of the actors is from Hamilton. Most of them are in and around like Kitchener and Toronto area. I guess you guys know where that is. So that's May the 12th. That'll be really, really exciting. Just to kind of mention something, I did post a script onto the blacklist. If I was to put in the evaluation in the chat, you probably all think I got a 9 out of 10. I didn't. I got a really low score. But what they wrote was incredible. I was thinking, wow, I'm so excited. And then I saw my score. Didn't make sense from the score to what the person wrote. So that's just a little aside. And I won't be here for the next couple of meetings. I'll be on the shoot. So that's my tidbits for the week.
Great. John's been away, but he must have some interesting stories to tell us.
Yes, thank you, Christine, and John Lewis from New York. Good to be back. First of all, Alex, congrats, dude. Well deserved, and best of luck on that set. Yes, I too have been on a set. I've been on 2 sets the last few weeks. I've been on the set of Succession, HBO show, and The Gilded Age, which is a period piece, both filming here in New York. The Gilded Age was on the island. So I did get some work on those, and always hearing Doug's advice: get on a set. That's the place to network. That's the place to meet people, meet writers. Well, Doug, not a writer to be found for miles. They're somewhere else. No,
You know why that
no
is?
writers on a TV set. At least these
Yeah,
two that I.
you know why that is?
Please tell me.
A lot of directors will not allow, they close the set to writers, because the writers always want to change everything and take control of stuff in the middle of production. There are a lot of directors, myself included, we don't want writers on the set.
Okay, so that explains that. But anyway, it was fun to be doing some acting, and you know, we'll see what happens in the future with those shows or other opportunities. But that was kind of cool. Writing wise, I put a link into my story that was published in Montana Mouthful. Check the chat. You can go on the link there and read it. It's about a 10-minute read, a short story that I wrote, and quite proud of that, and happy to have something published. So give that a look if you can. Also, not film related, but I've had some good news theater wise, play wise. I write plays as well, and I had a play that a theater company in Saragassett, New York, which is about a 2-hour drive north of me here. They will do a outdoor stage reading of a play that I wrote, A Catchy Song and a Shiny Light, on the 17th of April. Which is kind of cool. It's in like a garden theater space, amphitheater type thing. I haven't seen it, but the way it's been described to me, theater, the actors will be mic'd, and a socially distant, wearing mask audience of about 40 will be in the lawn listening intently, we hope, to my work. So that's kind of cool and kind of exciting to have that happening. And working on another script, another play that I have, and feel that it's got to be helping my screenplay writing down the line, because I feel like my dialogue is getting sharper, and my storytelling is getting a little more succinct, and I understanding the process a bit more, which of course carries over to film and television. So. Yeah, what else can I tell you about? I think that might be it for now. But again, busy, doing a lot, and glad to be back amongst the fold here.
Great. Pauline.
Hi, everyone. I've actually had a very exciting week. Well, let me back up a little bit. Thank you, Alex, for all of your help that you gave me. And I know I mentioned it before about how he was really tough on me, and I had to grow a thick skin and everything. But since I had that session with you, and all the time that you took with me to go over things, I just appreciate it so much. I've changed the name of my screenplay. I've come up with another log line, as you advised, and I changed a lot of the structure. But so I got it to the point where I was ready to do a virtual table reading, and that happened this weekend. I had the actors come in. Oh, and also I cut out a bunch of characters at your advice. I mean, I had 29 characters in it, so I cut it down.
It was razor, I keep telling you.
Yes, I took the razor. So the table read was just fantastic, and it had people laughing, people were crying. Every single person who participated, it was about 12 who participated, they said that they could relate to it in some way. And one of the people who read was my great niece, and she's she's 20. And so I thought, well, you know, this is going to be older for older people, but she loved it. And she said that she could relate to it and told me how. And it was strange how a lot of different people related to it in different ways. And so, and it's what I would call a Christian family dramedy. And the theme is about, well, the theme is redemption, healing, and forgiveness. That's if they form the core of the family story. And so, and it's uplifting, very, very uplifting. It deals with heavy subjects, but, you know, it's uplifting in the end. And I am so excited. And a tool that I used, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before with this group, and I know that there are writers here at many different levels, and I guess these comments are more for the beginners like myself. I found this site, prewrite.com, and I am so glad that I did because, well, it allows you to start your ideas there for your story if you'd like, but or to upload the story that you have. And that's what I did. And it just does everything. And it helps you to visualize what it could be. That was the best part for me. And I have over 100 scenes, and I have pictures of settings of all of those scenes. It comes in a timeline format. It comes in cards. The story is actually there with the characters. It helps you create the character synopses and the archetypes and all that, and even gives you questions to think about different things about the character. And it helped me build my characters. And one comment that I got over and over again was that my characters were well defined. And I think a lot of that might have come from Pre-Write, and it's a beautiful, beautiful program. And I think I heard John once talk about a program, you referred to it as eye candy, and when you were talking about the pitch deck, and it even has that in there. It has a feature where you can take all the key scenes out and make it into a slideshow. It just has everything. And
Sorry, Colleen, what's the name of the program?
It's prewrite.com.
Prewrite.com, okay.
And I use it as my personal workspace. And, you know, and because I have proprietary property there, I don't share it. I don't make it public or anything. And it was just for me, you know, to help me visualize. But I did share the link with the people who were reading the roles. And I guess they just disregarded my request to not share it because it, you know, I feel like it went viral. It went everywhere. But people were so excited, and different people have been sending me emails about wanting to work with me and things like that. But I closed it back. I didn't want it out there. I mean, I just didn't feel good about it. But it's such a great tool. I love it. And, you know, Nick, where's Nick?
You have to pay for, is it like a subscription base or?
It is, but you can do one story for free. But I bought
okay.
the subscription because a lady from church has me working on a story for her about her father.
Yeah.
And she's writing this great book, and I'm just so honored that I can work with her. But yeah, so I was
I'm
just
looking
really
at it right now. It's pretty good if you're pretty new in the
Pauline, can I just add real quickly, guys? As writers, we have to learn the art of accepting criticism. Pauline and I went at it a little bit, but I was trying to teach her about how to work with criticism, how to like challenge yourself. Right. Look at that. I mean, just within a few months, the elevation's been amazing. So everybody out there as writers, try to learn the art of criticism. I know it's tough on us. Mm-hmm. We have to just, you know, you got to take what you can from it. And about your work.
And then also, and this was for Nick. Why don't I see Nick's face here? But anyway, I don't know if this is the case with you, but at first I felt uncomfortable about sharing my work with others. And even with people, you know, like Alex, who said that they would help me, I just felt uncomfortable. I guess because this is new for me, and you know, you don't want people to take your ideas or whatever. But I moved beyond that. I'm sharing it with people, and I'm so grateful for people like Alex, who's willing to take the time to look at the work and give you constructive criticism. So, you know, when I felt like that, when I was all wounded and hurt and everything, I've gotten over it, and I appreciate it so much at this point. So that's all I would say.
No,
So,
thanks. I'm definitely gonna use it. Thank you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So Pauline, hopefully you videotaped that reading so that you could listen to it again.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, great.
Uh-huh. And
Okay,
I took a
next
lot
is
of notes,
Fatima.
too. Mhm.
Fatima, can you talk to us?
Yes, hi, yes, I'm here. Yes, my name is Fatima. I'm from New York. Sorry, it's busy here. I'm working on my screenplay with my friend, and hopefully we will finish it next month. And I'm here to learn from you guys.
And what's the genre of your script?
It's kind of drama.
Drama. Great. Good.
Yes.
So we look forward to hearing more about it next month.
Sure. Thank you.
So myself, the last meeting, I tried to put together a horror writing group. I put it out to those who had attended last meeting. And one gentleman said he would exchange 10 pages with me. I sent him my 10 pages. He sent me his. I did a critique of it. He had a lot of formatting problems, but the idea was good, and I never heard from him. You know, I tried to get a hold of him a couple of times. He's not here tonight, so I don't know if he can't handle criticism. Like Alex says, we have to learn how to, use criticism, handle constructive criticism. Like I never said anything was terrible or whatever. Like I said, a lot of formatting problems, which I said he needs to read this and that, that I gave him links to check out. And I thought it was a good horror script. And I even posted looking for people to exchange pages with on LinkedIn and Facebook. All of the horror writing groups I posted, and nobody came back to me. And then Julian came and said he would read my 10 pages, and he gave me some excellent comments. And I was telling him today, I was thinking about the script as I was driving to get groceries, and I came up with some more scenes. And then today, washing dishes, I came up with some more scenes. So it's when your brain is doing something else, or you physically doing something else, that your brain can, think about problems that you have posted to it. So I've also been working on my Bible for my TV mystery pilot, the Christmas Thefts Mystery. And I got some more toy props for my Christmas Toy Maker script. And so I'm busy that way, but I don't feel I'm doing enough time writing. So I was putting together today, I put a accountability Excel sheet. So I wrote down all of the different scripts or novel adaptations that I'm writing down. And now every day I'm going to track to make sure I'm working at least on one or two, like at least one page or ideas written down, because life happens and you get distracted, and you're not going to be moving forward on any of your scripts. So you have to make the time. So right now it's accountability Excel sheet. I used to have,
Can you share that with us? No, joking.
so it's just one column is your various scripts that you're working on, and then the other columns are the dates, and you just put X's in the date column of anything that you've worked on, and you check it out.
Pretty simple. Simple
Very
one.
simple.
Okay, cool.
So any other comments before we get into our topic tonight about conflict? Anything else anybody wants to say or share?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Christine, when you talked about you're doing the dishes and an idea or some dialogue comes to you, have to write it down. When I used to bartend a lot, I would be 10 deep in a bar and people would be screaming their orders and I'd be scribbling notes on stories and dialogue that I'm working on. They're like, "Can I get a drink?" I go, "Give me a minute, give me a second." You know? So I can relate.
Doug, you had something?
Yeah, I have a question for Alex. Do you have anything on film?
I believe I showed you guys a trailer of one of the films. And I just received a phone call from someone that's going to underwrite my first 2 shoots end of August for the Flow project.
Okay, if you got a film, let me know. Same
Yeah,
thing with Teo. If you got a film, let me know.
Yeah, I have one film that you can see. Can you put your email in there? And I'm going to email it to you at the end of this meeting.
I think it's already in there, isn't it?
Your email, is it?
No, not in the chat. You have to put
Oh.
it in the chat.
Well, I'll just tell it to you. It's the number 2,
Yeah.
OregonDoug@gmail.com.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Yeah. It's easy.
OregonDoug@gmail. Okay. You got it. I'll send it later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, because in my business, I'm only interested in finished films. I'm not really interested in scripts that much because I'm not interested in producing other people's projects right now.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, so conflict. Oh, Julian.
I was just going to say that Christine mentioned that she had some ideas while she was driving, and I would just say a handy tip is if you have at least an Apple phone, if you have it where you can say, "Hey Siri," and it'll listen to you. And sometimes when you're driving, that can be a little bit sketchy because it can get noisy and windy on the road. But you can tell Siri to take a note and to dictate any thoughts that you have. And I've done that once or twice, when you're driving. And kind of like so when you're doing other things, sometimes your mind lets you be unconscious and lets your heart starts working because you're not consciously thinking about it. So your subconscious speaks up. But so yell, "Hey Siri," take a note, and then start dictating, and hopefully most of it will get through without being too mangled by their dictation. Sometimes you have to look at it later and be like, "Okay, what was I saying there?" But that's because it'll garble what you say sometimes. But that's very helpful when you have those ideas and you can't reach your hands.
Good. So we're talking about conflict tonight because I sent my Christmas thefts mystery to my script doctor, and he said it needed more conflict in it. So I thought, well, let's find out what conflict is and what else do I need to do. Now I did come up with more conflict and get the main protagonist more involved in the mysteries and the thefts. So that did work, but I guess I have to do more dishwashing to come up with some more comments for that. So it says conflict. The key to successful storytelling is creating conflict. Writers establish the conflict of a story soon after they introduce their main character. Conflict is the element that kicks off the action and gets the story started. Because if there isn't any conflict in a story, then it's like a documentary or nonfiction piece. And so in
Putting
literature,
it basically is that if there's no conflict, there's no story.
Yeah, it's not a story per se. So in literature and film, conflict is a clash between two opposing forces that creates a narrative thread for a story. Conflict occurs when the main characters struggle with either an external conflict or an internal conflict. There are 6 different types of conflict you can use to propel your story. So this is the universal 6 types. Character versus self. So that's a lot of internal conflict. Character versus character. So this is, most drama and action films. Character versus society. Or I guess like governments and things like that. Character versus supernatural. Character versus technology. And character versus nature. So any of the going out in the woods and getting lost and dealing with snakes or grizzly bears or alligators or any of that thing. So a conflict is a clash of interest. The basis of conflict may vary, but it is always a part of society. Basis of conflict may be personal, racial, class, caste, political, and international. And conflict in groups often follows a specific course. So it's interesting the types of films that have evolved, and what we consider. And of course, historical conflict, we bring that all up now because we have so much research from the past that we can do that. And I think right now it may not be as much for filming because it's not as contained, and there may be like more travel involved than what we can do at this time in the COVID areas. But another website said, give your characters clear goals. So they always say that, you have to have your character wants and needs and goals be right at the front, and then later on, and at the end, they have to be achieved or somehow distilled. So we need to know what their basic problems are, and then solve them. So the main thing that I've always been told is you get somebody up a tree, you throw rocks at them so that they can't get down, and then they're somehow able to get down. So that's a resolution. So the fear of a attack, and that's a goal, and then solving the problem and getting them down. It says, go big or go small. Some actors use a method that teaches them to define a clear objective for every single line of dialogue. And they'll say, with this line, I want the other character to laugh. With the next line, I want the other character to cry, and so on. Well, you could argue that as much intention, this method can give an actor in their delivery. It also can rob them of some spontaneity in their performance. You'd be right. But for writers, it can be a wonderful way to pack a story with conflict. You're already set a story level goal, so now look at your characters from different levels. What do they want out of every scene? What do they want out of every interaction? What do they want with every line of dialogue? Why are they saying these exact words at this time? Have an objective, then go bigger. What is their life goals? 50 years after the story ends, where are they headed? What do they value out of life? All these wants and desires, large and small, near and far, interact with and build on each other to help you create a story that's always moving forward because it's bursting with conflict. and a story that always works because it's being driven by characters seeking out clearly defined goals. Because I think the problem with a lot of stories, if we don't know where the story's going in the first couple of pages, then you're going to lose the interest of the reader. Alex?
Wanted to add, and Laurie and Pauline know this, I'm always talking about everything must be relevant in your screenplay, especially with the conflict. Every part of the scene, every storyline has to be relevant. Don't just throw stuff in there willy-nilly for the hell of it. There's no point. It's got to be relevant.
I have a question for you, Alex. When you say, wait, is that okay?
Sure.
Or should I? Okay. Like when you say it's got to be relevant, like, oh shit, I had a sentence and it's gone. Do you mind just like elaborating on that a bit? Like I obviously know
Perfect
that.
example. Pauline, can I use your example? Pauline, would it be okay? Pauline's on mute, so I'm going to wait.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example from Pauline's screenplay about this older man that's in a room that's being taken care of by different caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she described what was on the bedside table. And I said, why don't you make it relevant to the story? So for instance, instead of just having a clock and a pen there, I don't remember what it was, have a life alert. So when we see that in the scene, we know that here's a person that struggles to get around. Then you use that as a thematic thing. The one nurse is a bit of a bitch. She always keeps that life alert away from him because she can't stand the patient she's taking care of. Whereas the other nurse is always putting it on. Oh, Alex, you got to remember to put this on. It's so important. So now we're seeing through the same motif, combining characters because it's all relevant. That one little item on the bedside table has to be relevant to the story. So that's
Right.
an example I can give.
Okay.
How would you deal with that as a director?
Sorry?
Well, just kind of like how I write. Yeah, of course, the director and set designer can change.
If I were going to direct that scene, I would make it an action it's an actionable item for the actor. And that's where you get the feeling, the sense of feeling. It's not what you say in the screenplay. It's the action of the characters.
So I just want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Teo?
Yeah.
Teo. So another example is the whole fight about protagonist, antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
You look upon it as I'm the antagonist and Laurie's my protagonist blocking me from reaching my goal. That's wrong. It's kind of conflict, but it's not relevant conflict. What's relevant conflict is I'm trying to reach this goal. Laurie's trying to reach the same goal in a different way because she's the hero in her story. And I'm the hero in the story that I'm writing. So that's more relevant conflict. That's what I mean by relevance is
right.
Everything. I always tell people, watch the movie Memento and just imagine it being told in a linear way because every single thing in Memento is relevant because it's being told backwards. So that's the best example I can give you. Go watch Memento, but then imagine that being told in a linear format. And that's the best way to describe how things should be relevant in a screenplay.
Sure. Right. Okay, wait. I have a follow-up question. So I totally get what you're saying now. Thank you for elaborating on that. And then, I do a lot of weird conceptual shit in my writing and my ideas. And I also watch very weird films that don't make a lot of sense, but then they do. But relevance, to the people who are making the film or to the person who's viewing it?
Good question. Depends on what type of film you're making. I would say the answer is either or, depending on what type of film you're making. And some of these films that I've seen that don't quite make sense, but of course they wrap around and then they make sense.
Yeah.
Relevance.
Okay.
A longer way. So that's why I'm just reminding people to write. Don't just write stuff and let me put that in, sounds okay. No. Everything has to be relevant, especially for conflict, because everything has to build, right? You're building the story up. You're building on the conflict. You end up throwing the kitchen sink at your protagonist. So just I would say that's just my tip, is to have relevance to what you're putting in your story, especially between the protagonist and the antagonist, which is usually the main form of conflict, and as conflict is building. That's just...
Sure.
And then there's a different perspective would be the actors. John, I believe, is the actor in the room. That's another way to look at conflict. But like Doug had said, when the director and actor then get your script, we're building it in maybe in a different way than I had written it, because actors and directors see things differently.
Yeah.
I think that's my cue. And let me add this. Thank you, Alex. Great lead in, by the way. Yes, I learned this many years ago as an actor, and it's always helped my writing. Good acting is reacting, because that's what we do in life. We're constantly reacting to something that's said, something that happens. And the same thing in the writing, like Alex and Doug were talking about. Let me quickly read. It's from a playwright named Jeffrey Hatcher. He's done a lot of plays. And actually, I think he's written some screenplays too. But anyway, he has a book here, and it's called The Art and Craft of Playwriting. And a lot of these elements of storytelling can be translated into TV and film writing. So let me just quickly read this. He says this: everything the characters do is the result of one action, and in turn causes yet another action. Verbs, action verbs, physical action, and language action. Each action will provoke a reaction. So that's exactly what Alex and exactly what Doug are talking about. It's constant movement. And then what really makes it special, you can find these little moments in your story, in your script, where you can slow it down. It's what Blake Snyder calls, what does he call it? He calls fun and games, where you can slow down the rhythm. Each script has a rhythm. There's a rhythm to it. And sometimes it comes to a screeching halt. You can have a quiet moment, a nice monologue, a nice scene to slow it down, let everybody catch their breath, and then back to the action. Because that's, again, it's reflective of life. We're constantly moving. Our minds are constantly thinking. Christine is doing dishes. She's thinking about dialogue, you know. Again, it's just reflective of life. And, when I read this in this book, I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand. So
yeah, well,
that's
John,
that's my 2 cents. Yes, sir.
John, when you're talking about that, you're really talking about not so much acting and reacting as listening to the other character, because
True.
you're going to have a natural reaction to what you're listening to. And don't really worry about the script. You want that action that's in there. You want that character to react.
Agreed. Absolutely.
And then you have to make sure that any objects that you put in your script are going to be used by people in the script, because it's no use putting them in, like someone said about that. I can't remember what Alex called it.
Life alert.
The life alert.
Help me! I've fallen. I can't get up. One of those.
Yeah,
things.
right.
Yeah. So
there's sometimes you will have props in there that are called red herrings.
Yes.
So, you don't have to use every prop that's sitting on the table.
No, if it's a red herring, but it's better if you can use them in action, those props like that life alert between the two caregivers to the older gentleman.
We all know if your opening scene has a gun on the table, somebody's going to get shot.
That's right. Because at the sink today, I was thinking that after this young woman came back from the doctors, and I was thinking maybe she would be writing in the diary. But if I don't have the diary coming back later, like if she becomes missing and then somebody finds the diary, that's fine. But just for her to write in a diary isn't going to be good at this point in time, unless I can use it for something else, like a one-off. I don't feel it's good enough. Okay, so continue with conflict. It says, let your characters fail. Because if you had your protagonist winning all the time, that'd be pretty boring. we have to have them failing or almost failing or even worse than failure, you know, like almost death things. And I like this one. Make your characters opinionated. In these days, we have opinions on everything, and you know what they say, don't talk about certain things in polite get-togethers. Well, we can do that in scripts. We can talk about sex or politics or religion. And use exposition to your advantage. Watching two people agree in a story is boring. Watching two people argue about some piece of exposition that you've had to stop the plot to give is even worse. Trouble is, most stories can't make it without at least a little bit of exposition. Genre stories like science fiction or fantasy often require a lot. But here's a trick that will help infuse your story with conflict and make your exposition so much more interesting all at the same time. If one person has to explain something, have the person listening disagree or question. It's a simple bit of small conflict, though it could be big conflict too, but it's more fun than hearing a character always say, yes, I understand, or yes, I agree, or yes, that's so smart. Try, I don't get it, or I can't believe that's true instead. So always, you know, disagreements is great. Alex.
I just wanted to say for the comedic writers out there, I can't write comedy, but every time I see it on TV or wherever, that one person is talking about the same topic, but a completely different topics. You know, like the husband is talking about one thing and the wife's talking about the other thing. And then he goes, oh, that wasn't what I was talking about. I just love that. Every time it gets set up, I just think it's funny every single time.
You know, writing comedy and tragedy are almost the same thing.
The one soap, I consider it a soap opera, British soap opera that I'm watching. The 9th season right now is Doc Martin. Oh my God, the conflicts in there are unbelievable because he's such a ornery person, the doctor, and his patients do not want to comply with his instructions to get better. And then there's all these goofy characters in the village that do this and that, and you feel like strangling them. But it's like, oh, what are they going to do next? Because they're almost ridiculous with their problems, and of course they all center around the doctor and the village. They very rarely go outside the village, so you don't need a big location like New York to have you know, conflict. I'm quite sure there are little boroughs and little areas that would have a major story, a major script in any one area. What was that one with? It was a historical one in New York. It was an ethnic. I think that it was an ethnic story, historical. The Gangs of New York.
Yes.
Do you know where it's airing, and we can maybe think about it?
Was
Daniel
it Gangs
Day-Lewis?
of New York?
Yes. Daniel
was-
Day-Lewis. That was a Martin
Yes.
Scorsese film,
Yes.
I believe.
And that was in one location, right, in New York.
Yeah, it was down in the 5 Points, which is near Chinatown and Little Italy now
Little Italy,
today.
yeah.
But I mean, the 5 Points are long gone. But yes, that's where it took place.
And these days, well, I know in Ontario, there'd be great conflict stories in the long-term homes. Because people are sick, and you've got the doctors and nurses deciding or not with what the government wants to give treatment to people, and some people want the shots and some don't, and restrictions of visitors and cleanliness, so for one location script, I think a nursing home or a retirement home would be great, because there isn't that many stories about senior people. Like there was that great one about Cocoon.
Yeah.
They were all in a senior home or something like that.
Yeah, it was a major hit at the box office too, as I recall. So.
And everybody knows somebody in a nursing home or a retirement home, their grandparents, or great aunt or uncle. So it would have interest, because it's a family story. It has all the drama of people being sick and can't look after themselves, and is that our future? Because we don't know when our health is going to fail and we can't look after ourselves. Yes, Alex.
One of the things Giovanni has designed is for development on like a TV show, is to have it set in one location where you have different subrooms. So for instance, at a medical facility, then you have the cafeteria, the doctor's lounge, the operating room, the lobby, but it's all within a building so that the crew is not moving that far, which it cuts down your production viability.
Right.
So if you're writing a screenplay for a story that could be self-contained, don't just think it's one room, 5 corners. Gangs of New York was kind of like a block area, 5 corners of New York. And then some of these other shows, they just take one building. I think it was the, like a recent horror film, Hotel Artemis. Did anybody see that? It was like a horror thriller film starring Jodie Foster. It's called Hotel Artemis, and it takes place literally in this derelict type of hotel. It's a very strange concept. Check it out. Just for the concept and how they use the different rooms. It's pretty clever. I read the script. Script is way better than the film.
Oh, that's the one thing I was going to ask. I just watched for the first time Snakes on a Plane. And that's quite an old film. And I was trying to get the script for it. Now, on one website, you could get the script, but it just had the dialogue. I'm wondering where you can get a script where it's got the slug lines and it talks about description and action.
Well, most do. That's a strange one. But why would you want to read that screenplay? I mean, what a crappy film. I mean, I don't know. If that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. But
no, because I have an idea for Sharks on a Plane.
Okay. Shark.
So I want to.
Okay.
It's what I used to tell people when I was making my third feature film, because they asked me how I got the shark into Canada. So of course I said I found out about them catching sharks, off of Fort Lauderdale, and I flew down there and brought one up and we put it in the marina, and the one morning it was raining so bad we couldn't film, so I had to go put the shark into somebody's pool, and then a couple of days later we were filming again, and the shark was so hungry it ate more people. And you say, when you can say it in a straight face, then people don't know what to think, because in my movie you don't see the shark until almost the end.
Let me just add this quickly, Christine, co-telling what Alex was talking about, and you were talking about a single location. I would recommend people read plays because that's where most plays do take place in one location. And it was nice to see this award season. There's 3 particular movies that are getting a lot of attention. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, August Wilson, the great playwright, The Father, which is an English play, and One Night in Miami. All plays, all taking place in one location. Well, of course, they've taken some liberties with the filming, like One Night in Miami. It takes place in a hotel room, but of course, they've done some shots outside the hotel, on the street, in front of a store, whatever. But by and large, you know, it's a great, you know, indicator that it can work. That, you know, you translate that over to film, and I think all 3 of these films are wonderful films. But I would love to see them on the stage. I think it would be even better and be more intense, more focused. Of course, the writing is stellar in all 3 of those. And that would add to conflict, you know, exactly what we're talking about. Because again, it just focuses everything in. But anyway, read plays, please.
But the other thing that you have to make sure when you're in a single location, or you don't have much different, like I said, rooms or whatever to put it in, is to have enough action or things for the actors to do, because you don't want it to be just talking heads, them sitting there talking heads, because, you know, that gets very boring. So they have to have different props to work on, or pick at each other's clothes or hair, or, you know, pull at the glasses or pull their nose, or, you know, be physical that way. Yes, Doug.
Christine, these things are known as business. This is the actor's business, which is really, it's the visual movement that the actor is making while carrying on the dialogue or carrying on the scene. But that's what it's referred to as business. I'm sure John knows that.
But I think, wouldn't the writer try to give some suggestions? Because
yes,
you're half an hour in a room, you know, you have to think of a lot of things to do.
Yeah. A lot of these would be solved. A lot of these problems will be solved in the writing, or would be found in the writing. But yes, Doug is absolutely right. There's room in the creative process while you're shooting, while you're, you know, on stage doing this stuff. It gives, you know, a good actor will be creative, and based on what's happening in the script, add their own. You're not adding dialogue, you're adding action. You're adding a character choice, you know, to smoke a cigarette or eat an apple, or, you know, stomp your foot down. It may not say it in the script, but it can be intended, or it would work. It would make logical sense. And then, of course, a lot of that's left up to the director, whether the director wants to keep that or not keep it, you know. So a lot going on.
Yeah, that sort of thing is in the director's bag. You know, he's the one that puts the visual on the screen. You, as the writer, tell your story. I, as the director, take that story. I'm going to put my vision on that story and flash it up on the screen. Now, I'm going to work very closely with the DP. I'm going to work closely with the editor, because everybody is an artiste along the way. You know, and it's very difficult to work with a bunch of damn crazy artistes.
Because I find that the difference between film and plays is that with film, you can get the camera right up onto the actor's face, to get all different kinds of emotional expressions, which you can't see at the back of the room in a play. It has to be more broad in a play, more physical movements in a play than facial movements.
Yeah, that's what you're saying is absolutely true. With the camera, I can fly that camera right up your nose. I can come in and get a tight eye shot. I can put your pair of eyes 60 feet wide across the screen. And you can't do that in a play, that's true. But, you know, likewise, in a play, it's mostly, well, I want to say artistic in that your play is limited to the world within the proscenium. And you can change your scenery a little bit, but it's always going to be pretty abstract. In a film, I can shoot my film high atop some high-rise in New York City, and I can insert some stuff from the Chicago airline, airport, and I can be in San Francisco, and I can do this all in 30 seconds. You can't do that in a play. That's one of the big differences between them.
And these days with green screen, well, they can do so much more for making it wherever, and inserting different shots or film clips from different countries, or
yeah, if I unroll a green screen here, I can be anywhere I want to be.
Because the Hallmark movies that I see, a lot of them say they're filmed in Seattle, but only because they show a few cityscapes, but they're really filmed in British Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we shot all of Juno in Vancouver.
Wait, sorry, you worked on Juno?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Have you watched the film?
If it's the one I'm talking about with
Juno, yeah.
Yeah.
That the opening shot when Juno is arriving where the chair is, the sunset, that's the golden hour shot. It took 6 days to get that shot.
I'm totally not surprised.
Because of the weather, you had to wait.
Yeah, the golden hour is about 10 minutes long, if you're lucky.
I guess that's why so much is filmed in studio if they can, right? And
Sure. Yeah. What is that film or the sitcom that's on? It says it's not Tim the Tool Man, but Last Man Standing. And they open it up with the picture of the house in Boulder, Colorado, and all that. That whole thing is actually shot on a live 200,000 square foot sound stage before a live audience. It's a 4-camera shoot. They don't go to Boulder, Colorado to get the pictures of that house. They have stock footage, B-roll. I was out today shooting some B-roll. That's all. That's all it is.
So in the next 2 weeks, the next topic I was thinking of doing was female characters, writing female characters.
My story has a female character. I mean, the hero is a female.
Good.
Yeah.
Christine, I had a question. If we wanted to have suggestions on what types of topics we would like to see, is there a way maybe I can email you or
put it in the chat?
In the chat, okay.
Or if you think between every 2 weeks the meetings, then you've got my email, so you can email me.
Okay, yeah, I'm always kind of, sometimes I'm stuck on something and it would be nice to cover that. Yeah, but thank you.
I asked my question in the chat, but I can't tell you what was my question. I said, everybody these days says you can shoot your script. You shouldn't, pitch your script or finding some producer or director. It's the easiest way to, make it to the film. Do you agree or disagree? I mean, is it a good idea or?
Fatima, you're in New York City, right?
Yes.
But if you put one ad out, I have a script, anybody want to collaborate or go on stage 32, you'll have 50 people that will contact you in New York City. I got reached out from the New York City Film School that has a branch in Miami to produce something with them. And I'm in Miami. So in New York City, I bet if you put an ad out, you would find collaborators or put an ad up on stage 32. But again, you got to have a good story to tell. You got to have a good, viable script, even if it's a short of 6 pages. As long as you got a good product, people will want to collaborate because they want the opportunity to create things, build up their resume, build up their experience. So in New York, you really have no excuse, really. You'll find people.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Fatima, are you on stage 32?
I didn't try it yet, but
so get a profile on stage 32, and then under jobs, that's where you can post that you've got a script and you're looking for producer, director.
Okay, thanks.
And I think you can also post it under the lounge. There's various lounges. So there's a scriptwriters lounge, and you can post it under there. And then you connect with other people. And so like I've been saying, I've been connecting with various producers on LinkedIn, and I think there's 4 that are waiting for my 2 horror scripts, and I gave the names to Julian because he's got a horror script, and he was able to connect with 2 of them, right, Julian?
Yeah, that's correct. One did request my script, so we shall see how that goes. So thank you, and thank you very much, Christine, for that.
So that's why we need to tell each other what we're working on, because, you never know who knows somebody else, like Alex says, that we can refer each other to. And to help each other in the group, like Julian was able to read these first 10 pages, and he says he's willing to read more. So that's great.
Yes, perfect.
I have something to say. How do I say your name, Fatima? How do I say it correctly?
Fatima, that's correct.
Fatima, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to say it wrong. Like, I'm relatively inexperienced actually making stuff, and then I'm young and I don't fully know what I'm doing. But then, sorry, tangent, unrelated. I just, like, on your question, my thoughts, I guess, I am like, I only really write scripts because I'm like, I want to tell this story, I want to do it this way, and nobody else is going to do it. Like, nobody else is going to make this how I want to make it. Why would I give someone my script and just let them do whatever they want with it? So, and like, I'm like making a short, I'm making a film based on an album, really weird concept, really intense. And like, I like, it's intense and it's hard, especially as a beginner and everything. But like,
yes,
in my opinion, do whatever you want. And if you actually want to do it, then you're going to do it. Like, even if it's hard, like if you write a script and you're like, nobody else is going to make this how I want to make it, then just make it, man. Like,
that's always been my advice. If you want to get into filmmaking, just make the damn thing. Yeah. Teo, where are you located again? You're in New York or something like that?
Hamilton, Ontario.
Hamilton, Ontario.
It's like it's really close to Toronto.
Yeah, what kind of equipment do you have? Are you talking a DSLR camera shooting HD or what?
I have a Canon Vixia and a computer, and that's about it. And then
Okay.
and on all of my stuff, I'm just gonna bust it and rent everything I need, basically.
Well,
Now,
just shoot it. Just shoot
Yeah.
it. And then when you got it on a disc or you got it on an HD card, then it's easy for someone like me to look at it and give you a little guidance about hey, this you need to do a little bit of this or you need to do a little bit of that. It's
Mhm.
easier for me to run it through an editing system and come up with some help if you want, or if you don't want, well, just forget the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm also I also am like studying editing and like colorizing and stuff, so I feel like I sort of know what I'm doing, kind of anyway, but I
Okay.
really appreciate
What
that. Not
editing program are you using?
Resolve.
Okay, are you up to 17 yet?
Yeah.
Okay. You master that program and you've got a job automatically in Hollywood if you
Yeah, I
know
know.
that program inside and out. Because as you're going to discover, that editing with that program is extremely talent required,
I
artistic
know.
skill. And you can be an editor and you'll be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could be a screenwriter and you're going to go broke.
Well, see, I'm gonna screenwrite and direct and edit, so I'll be working like 28 something.
So you're going to make films that are financially viable?
Yes.
You hope?
Yeah.
You
Now-
have a business plan?
Not
I'll take that as a no.
really.
Now,
Yeah,
in
not really.
Hamilton, we have the Cable 14, and I was there for 16 years as a volunteer and became associate producer and produced quite a number of TV shorts to the point that I received an award for our show. And so this was great to put on your resume, and I got a paid gig with CHCH TV to do a half-an-hour show. So I would certainly recommend that you go and knock on their door and do everything you can for them and learn whatever you can. And like I said, build yourself up to become an associate producer so that you're writing, directing, and producing for your resume.
There you go. You got it right in your own backyard. You can't get better than that.
That's right.
I mean, I appreciate that. I am really very uninterested in television of any kind, to be completely honest, but I do appreciate the advice.
So Christine, I just had a quick question about the topic, about the conflict topic. For like when writing conflicts, when I was doing my kind of advising, where the Netflix producer was looking over my script, she said that I have to have a lot more conflict. This was the romantic comedy I'm working on, and she said to have conflict in about like every scene and stuff. But I mean, is that too much? How do you know how much, if you're overdoing it or if you're like, underdoing it? Like, how do you know where there's a good balance,
Alex, you can address that.
Again, I don't write romance or comedy, but watching a lot of the content, Nick. Romantic comedy is basically about what? Two people that you are trying your best never to get them together, right? Could be that they hate each other, could be that they work together, whatever the story is. But you want to keep that conflict so that they keep going in their story on parallels.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the very end, they do get together. The big
yeah.
finale.
Like, for example,
and to keep them apart.
Yeah, so I just rewrote it. Like that's why. Yeah. So I did. I mean, it's a cross-cultural romantic comedy about an Indian man and a Hispanic woman, and there's an age difference. But then I
That's a
just
good
added that
premise.
she has a twin sister, and there's a lot of mishaps and mixes because of that. So that's why I wanted to. That's why when I was reading, I was like, oh, this seems really boring. I needed something more.
Relevant. I know you're going to say the word
Relevant.
relevant, right, Nick?
Relevant, just
You know,
a little bit more, there's I mean, when I growing up, I mean, Indian movies were always about that. They had a lot of mishaps, they had a lot of weird things that come up, and so I was always like, oh, like while reading it, I kind of wanted to have that Indian Bollywood touch to it, but like a Hollywood movie. Yeah, so okay.
years back, I worked in the writer's room on a show called Northern Exposure.
Oh, cool. I like that.
And the conflict that we always had is, between Maggie and Joel, the two characters. And it was always a romantic comedy. Will he, will she, will they not? And I suggest that what you do is go back and look at some of those shows, the old serials, the old Northern Exposures, and really pay attention to the characters in that show. The relationship between Maggie and Joel and how it was all carried out. Really pay attention to that. There's conflict on every shot. There's conflict every place in there between all the characters all the time.
Sure. Okay.
We'll pay attention to it.
I do feel that sometimes some shows, like I watch A Million Little Things, and I mean, like, I feel like the latest episodes is just like way too much. They overdo it, the conflicts, like, to the point where, it's just not as, I mean, it's a little intense and stuff. So, I mean, it is a drama, but yeah, I just don't want it. I mean, I don't know where there's a medium where I don't want to, make people, I mean, not as interested just because it's too much conflict.
One of the things you have to decide as a writer, do you want to write a me draft? You're going to write it, you're going to produce or direct it, you're going to find financing, or you're going to write a we draft that you write that's going to go somewhere someone's going to make it for an audience. So you've got to make that decision, because if you're going to write a we draft, you've got to write what people will want to see. And that's, you got to look at marketing, you got to look at what the masses like. That's who you're writing for. You're writing for an audience. But if you're writing a me draft, then that's what you're writing for, right? You're writing for you. You're going to produce it yourself. You got family who are going to, finance the film. So if you want to write for a mass audience, you can't say to yourself, well, I really don't like that there's too much going on in that. That show's produced, has a good audience, probably has a high rating, because that's what people want. People want to be entertained, especially these days with COVID. People are really, really, really want entertainment. That's why comedy is always king. If you know how to write a great comedy spec, it's going to get picked up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think the one thing you have to consider right up front, though, if you're going to be a screenwriter, are you in this as a business, or is this just a hobby? And if it's a business, you need to approach it as a business. Same thing with you, Tim. It's a business. Approach it as a business. Otherwise, forget about it. Go away.
Wait, is it okay if I respond to that, or does somebody else want to say
sure.
something? Okay. Like, I get that and I appreciate it. And like, I understand that it is an industry and everything. And to be completely honest, I just don't care. Like obviously I don't not care. Like, there is the money aspect of it, and people do look at your shit as like, am I going to get paid from this? And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I get paid. If I work for nothing for 20 years and I'm just like living off of the generosity of my friends, like whatever, like as long as I'm making shit that I can look back on when I die and be like, hell, fuck yeah, I fucking made that. Sorry, you're swearing? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
like, obviously there, like, I also, thank you, Julian. Like, I understand that I'm going to have to get it financed somehow, but if it's like if I'm like scraping money out of the cracks of the sidewalk to get my thing made, that's what I got to do. And I don't know. I think of it as, yeah.
That's what we call perseverance, dedication, and perseverance. Those things have to be there. If you don't have that, you don't have a chance. So as long as you have that, you can always make something happen.
You had something to say, Alex?
Yeah, just to say to Teo. So, you know, and I agree with you, Teo, but again, it depends on what you're writing for. If you're writing for content that you're going to produce, you have a team of people to produce your work, that's great. But again, if you are writing something that you want to get out there to a much more bigger audience, you want to contact the industry people, you have to play their game a little bit. You just have to. Not to say lose integrity and nothing like that. Do it your style, but you do have to learn, you know, how to be in a room with executives. You do have to learn of listening to criticism, listening to their ideas. You may not go with it, but you listen to them. So I'm just saying what you're writing and what you're writing for. That's why I was saying to Nick, decide on this script who you're writing it for. You're writing it as a me thing to get financed and do like maybe your style, great. But if he wants to write for Hollywood and the industry, there's just certain things you may have to consider. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's one thing that I always tell new screenwriters, and that is, do you know the difference between a medium pizza and a new screenwriter? A medium pizza can feed a small family. A screenwriter can't. It's as simple as that. You know, that just means that you have to approach this as a business.
I think our thought will be changed during the, as we get older.
I was just saying in the chat too. I mean, to me, there's a couple ways you can go. And one of those is to do things the way everybody tells you to fit within the system. But then you also become one of a million, you know? And so it's also important to find that balance. You know, the people I admire, the films that inspire me, the creators that inspire me, often did have to work within the system. I mean, Stanley Kubrick made a whole bunch of movies before he made Lolita or, 2001. So there is some sense of progression there. But, by also not losing your artistic voice and trying to bring that into fruition and creating something that no one else could make, I think is personally my road. And, and I don't know, maybe it won't work, but I know that others have made it work, and I talked about the Coen brothers and other people that are singular voices that don't stand out. So, I don't always, I don't always get like 10 out of 10. I don't get 10 out of 10s on reviews on my scripts or anything, but one thing people always say is that they're unique. They've never quite read anything quite like that. And that means to me, I'm succeeding. And that's my chance. To me, my chance is not in being fitting within the lines and doing things like a lot of other people. It's too much competition. So, by my goal is to create something that's unique and beautiful that others can't do. And then maybe I know my audience exists because I know there are people that do love what I've written. Not a lot of them, but they exist. And you know what? My favorite musician is Momus. Have any of you heard of, I'm sorry, not my favorite, but one of my favorite musicians is Momus. I think he's probably the most brilliant man in music. Have any of you heard of Momus? Alex? He's from your side of the pond. He's Scottish. Well, you haven't heard of
Scottish.
I know, he's your side of the pond though.
Oh, it's like, I'm saying you're Canadian now and Christine's American. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay.
He's close. I
thinking longitude lines from now on. Oh, my Lord.
Probably more popular in Japan, to be honest. But I think he's the most brilliant man and one of the most and nobody knows who the fuck he is. So, you might be obscure. You might be someone that operates on the fringe, but you might get your movie made one day, And it might be something weird, and it might be something that only a couple hundred film weirdos know about. But if you can do that, Teo, I'd call you a success in my book too. You know, so there is an important artistic aspect to what you do, and there are people out there that have succeeded by following the art, but not ignoring some of the rules of the system, and came up their own way. You know, but also by playing within the game. So there's a fine balance there. And if you can do both, if you can work the system and also stay artistically true to yourself, then you might be one of the greats. So that's just my philosophy.
You know, the film industry is undergoing a tremendous evolutionary process right now, and nobody is really sure what's going to happen. And old time guys like me, we still remember back in the 50s and the 60s when art house films were in the, you know, the coffee shops and that kind of stuff. And what I see happening again, you know, that has happened a long time ago, that a lot of young people who don't know history have never thought about, is cinema is branching off into the art house cinema, and it's branching off into the commercial movie making cinema. And that's pretty much what you're talking about. So Julian, when you're talking about following your heart and making your film and what you want to do, that's a wonderful story. And same thing with Teo, you know, you want to make your film, you know, it's a wonderful thing, but to truly make a good film, you know, that meets your expectations, you're talking about an art house film. You're not talking about a commercial Saturday afternoon popcorn movie. So understand who your audience is. Always write for your audience. You know, Nikki, I think you want to write more for the, you know, the Saturday afternoon popcorn movies. That's fine. That's a wonderful area to go to. But you're not going to get your movies in an art house cinema. Someone like Teo and Julian, your films are going to go to art house cinema. You're not going to go to the big screen, you know, those things out in the little multiplexes out in the shopping malls. Now, are you? I mean, is that where you want to go? Where do you want to see your film?
Well, I have a variety of, actually. So, I mean, I have some that are very strange, you know, and then but my new comedy, Poppycock, PG rated and good for families everywhere. So, you know, I do have, sometimes there's a goal in writing different scripts, you know, different scripts for different audiences.
No, you can't write both. You pick your area and become the world's foremost authority at it. Get to become the best at what you do.
Well, you know, Alex mentioned Robert Rodriguez, and there's somebody that can make a Spy Kids movie for kids, you know, but then he can also make Once Upon a Time in Mexico, or other things that are a little bit for a very different audience. So not everybody can do different things like that. So it's good to focus, but I can do both.
Now, Ardell has come in late. Tell us what you've been working on the last couple of weeks.
Oh, don't worry about me. I've just sent off a manuscript to my beta readers. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just taking a breather and concentrating on Amazon ads and that sort of thing.
Okay, so you can start off because we're getting close to closing. What are you going to be working on the next 2 weeks?
Next 2 weeks, I'm going to be hopefully doing a rewrite. And I have been working on Dave Trotier's screenwriting Bible. I've been working on that and final draft, getting myself geared up for and knowledgeable to get this screenplay up and running. But it's going to be, you know, another year before I'm actually done.
Hey, Pat, so what are you going to be working on the next couple of weeks?
I've got the Screencraft Summit this weekend, So I'll be immersed in that for 2.5 days. Hopefully learning stuff, hopefully meeting people. And after that, I got to get this thriller knocked out. Kill somebody.
Good. Julian.
What's next? Well, actually, besides the table read that's happening this week, I'm also working with Alex with his other group that does table reads, and they provide recordings with Q&As and stuff. So I'm going to work with them to get the first 40 or 43 or so pages of Death's Brother, my horror script, read aloud. And then I'll be able to have that recording, and then that would be something I can also then upload to my website, julianmartinwriter.com, to expand, expand my resume, my showcase. That website is my resume. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to as well that I haven't already mentioned before.
And Doug, you've got a lot on your plate too.
Well, the other thing I've got going right now is that I'm kind of developing or thinking of developing a new film festival for the Northwestern US. And I'm going back into producing my little cable TV network show. And I'm talking with PBS about picking that up. And I think it's time I go back to writing. I've got a coming of age script that I have opened, but I'm looking for someone to give it to let them finish it.
Great. Teo.
It's what am I working on in the next couple weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna bust my ass and try to figure out how to rent gear for this music video that I'm shooting like next week. I'm trying to find a producer for my short. And once I find a producer, looking at funding and begging people to give me money. And then meeting with the musician on the album that I'm making a movie out of, and hopefully getting a co-director on that, and then working on my editing skills as well. And yeah.
Okay, Teo, so you're shooting a short, a music video?
A music video, yeah.
I want to see it.
Okay.
Good. Nick, you've got 3 stories you're working on. You going to concentrate on one?
Yeah, I think the rom-com I'm gonna continue. Yeah, I'm working on the rewriting. Again, I thought there was a lack of conflict and a lack of again, it was like more conversational. I think I'm gonna review the Zoom call and try to add more actions and props and things like that. Maybe read some more on how to develop more conflict on each scene. Also reading up more similar genres like scripts, and that really helps while I'm writing. Work on maybe the simple Excel sheet, what like the breakdown, like a page a day or a rewrite a day, Pauline's suggestion on pre-write. I'm just gonna look over that, see if it's something that's a good fit for me. Working on rewriting, adding more conflict, and hopefully so.
Good. Anisha.
Sorry, I had one quick question about the conflict. Do you have any other like good books or any resources where I can read up on more like
You'll get the document tomorrow.
Oh, document. Okay.
Yeah, about conflict.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'll definitely use that. Thank you.
So Anisha, what are you going to be working on the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, probably just my rewrite, and then I'm gonna try writing a spec script. I don't know. I'm debating on whether I'm like ready to apply yet for fellowships, but yeah, that would be good if I could try to get a fellowship or some sort of representation or just more experience with script development. So that's probably what I'll be working on.
Great. Alex, you've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, pre-production's a bitch, that's all I can tell you. But myself and the script supervisor, who's not going to Atlanta, so I'm taking on that role as well. We got the 108-page script down to 91. I am last night and today finishing off the scene breakdown for the shooting schedule. So I'm doing that. Then tonight I'm going to email my film to Doug. I'm going to wait Nick's email. I have a feeling Nick's going to email me today to set up a schedule for when I come back from Atlanta. So that's on my agenda.
Right.
Everybody to contact me if you need. Keep working hard. And then on the 17th, I will be dark. I'm gone for 3 weeks. So see you all May, I don't know, whenever.
Yeah, Alex, I can tell you, I want an MP4 file, if you got it. And because I think you can, if it's not real long, you can attach that to an email. Otherwise, you send it to my Dropbox. I don't have a big one in there. I think I've got 2 gig or so on the Dropbox.
Okay.
John, are you going to be acting?
No, I don't think so, but who knows? I am not going to Atlanta like Alex is. I will be going to Syracuse, New York on the 17th to do my reading or listen to my reading. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will continue to work on this other play that I'm writing, a one location in a car. 2 guys are driving cross country to go to a funeral, and they pick up a hitchhiker. Just a little teaser right there. So
great.
That's what I'll be working on.
And I'll be working on my 2 Spec Hallmark romantic comedy scripts and my 2 horror scripts. So we'll see everybody in 2 weeks on
That's the 19th. Okay.
Monday the 19th. So tomorrow you'll get the document about conflict and the chat and the link for the YouTube unedited version of this Zoom meeting. So have a great time.
Wait.
Yes?
Sorry, I need to ask Doug what your email is.
To OregonDoug@gmail.com.
You got it. And it's the number 2. It's not the word 2.
Okay.
Best of luck, Alex.
Good. Okay, so everybody
Thanks, Christine, very much.
Be well and safe, and keep writing and filmmaking until we see you on the 19th. Bye for now.
Bye.
Buddy, ciao.
See y'all.
Yeah, and whoever's getting the vaccine, best of luck. It's it's pretty intense. I think.